In this video, I'll be running through why attribution at the ad level does not matter. Now, I get this question a lot, which is that how do we as a business better identify what ads are working through attributed measures so that we can either make more ads like that or we can put more budget into those ads? And the short answer is it's a futile effort and you shouldn't be looking at attribution at an ad level. But I want to explain why and then what the alternatives are and how you can approach identifying high performing ads and then continuing to iterate and scale on those creatives. So when it comes to the ad level, it's better to zoom out and think about, number one, we have accounts. And so this is your Meta account, this is your Google account that all lie under here. And then down a stage from here, you have your individual campaigns. And so this is your, if you're using regular top of funnel, middle of funnel structures, this is your top of funnel, middle of funnel in Facebook, etc. From there, you then have, depending on what platform you're using, the nomenclature differs here, but you have your ad set. So this is called ad groups on Google. It's called different things across different platforms. And then all the way down the bottom, you have your individual ads. And so this is the structure of your entire paid media strategy and how each setting lies under each one and how it all nests together. Now, the point here is that attribution all the way up at the account level is generally the most reliable because it's going to capture all of the data as a subset that exists and is getting attributed across everything. So your total attribution at an actual account level, looking at your, for example, total return on ad spend in Facebook, is going to be a much better measure than going all the way down to the ad set level and looking at attributed return on ad spend in each individual ad set. And particularly even better than going all the way down to the ad level. Now, why is that the case? Why does attribution improve as you go up? Now, I don't think attribution is really good at any of these levels, by the way. I don't think that this is actually reliable. It's just better than this. And the reason why it's better is because, and let's just use Meta as an example here, because I'm really talking about how to figure out which Meta creatives are performing the best, is that Meta relies on last click attribution. Now, for those that don't know attribution models well, when you attribute a purchase, you have to attribute it somehow across a multi-click journey within a platform. And so you have to decide how you're going to carve that conversion up and then attribute it across different interactions that may have occurred. With last click attribution, what that means is that the last ad that was clicked on or the last ad that was viewed will get the conversion. And so what this ends up meaning is that if we go and serve someone this ad and then they look at this ad, so this is ad 2, this is ad 1, and then eventually they see ad 3 from us, which might be review based, right? This might have been just, here's the product, this might have been some social proofing, and then we come in with a review based ad. This then generates the click. Well, this ad is going to get all the attribution. Now, they could have even clicked here. And in fact, they could have clicked on ad 1 as well. They could have clicked on all these ads. But these will get no credit and all the credit will go to ad 3. And so you can immediately start to identify where the issue is here, which is that if there's any kind of multi-touch point approach to the ads that you are serving to users, you will get significant over-attribution to whatever the last ad is in the pathway. And now this becomes even more important when you factor in that Facebook has said, I believe it was a few years ago, that they will very rarely serve an ad to a user more than 3 times because the probability of purchase after 3 impressions goes down exponentially. And so if you see an ad once and then you see the same ad again and then you see the same ad again and you still haven't clicked and bought, a 4th impression, a 5th impression, a 6th impression will do very little to actually convince you. You are not convinced. Or that creative is not getting you over the line. And so what Facebook will do is serve you a different ad. And so you'll see a different creative with different messaging and that will try to push you over the line and that ends up increasing probability of purchase back up. And so Facebook's going to consistently rotate ads that you were served to ensure that you are increasing the probability of you as an individual buying from them. Now, because of that, you don't actually know what ad is driving initial awareness, driving the decision-making process towards that purchase. You don't know. But attribution will always tell you it's the last one. When in fact, ad 1 might be driving really strong awareness and initial clicks, and then ad 3 is obviously what gets the conversion. So what is the alternative and what's the solution here? Well, the solution is that you literally can't trust attribution at an ad level. There's not much you can do. Yes, you can use third-party attribution tools and you could actually change your attribution model to splice attribution across multiple ads. But that's assuming that you have perfect 100% tracking that is tracking users as they click on multiple ads throughout a journey, which just isn't happening. It's just very unlikely that third-party tools are giving you anywhere near a accurate degree, a level of accuracy in which you can infer decision making that's actually going to have a positive increase on the business. And so yes, it's going to tell you stuff, but is it going to tell you the correct information? Probably not. And so what's the next best thing? Well, the next best thing is, how do we gauge that a user found this ad valuable? How do we gauge that a user found this ad valuable? How do we associate some kind of value here to where we can identify that these ads, despite not having attributed return on ad spend figures that we're happy with, are still high performers? Because this is ultimately the biggest mistake in an ad account, which is that you have 3 ads running. They're all getting spend. Let's say Facebook's deciding to evenly distribute across all of them. In fact, let's say Facebook's putting a little bit more spend into ad 1 and 2. But ad 3 is the one that has the strong ROAS. The other ones don't. Now, the biggest mistake ever is you turn the other 2 off. And the reason it's a mistake is that, number one, Meta is perfect or near perfect at distributing spend between ads. And so there's a reason why Meta is giving these ads spend. In fact, there's a reason why it's giving them more spend than ad 3. It has more context than you do. And then number 2 is the last click attribution issue, right? Ad 3 is probably just getting a better ROAS because it's the final click that's getting the majority of the conversions. Ad 3 might have a really strong call to action within it that ad 1 and 2 don't. And so ad 1 and 2 are building, you could almost think about it as rapport with a potential customer, and then ad 3 is coming in as a salesman and actually closing them. So if these 2 ads are still good, they should show a few qualities and traits that demonstrate that. If they're videos, you can look at hook rates, and hook rates in isolation aren't helpful. So you also want to look at hold rates. If they have incredible hook and hold rates, they're probably fantastic ads that just don't have strong enough call to actions, and ad 3 is coming in and getting that call to action. Or the better measure, because this translates into statics and GIFs and any other ad type, is CTRs. And as a function of CTRs, CPCs. If ad 1 and 2 are getting incredible click-through rates, and then ad 3 is actually getting attribution, well, ad 1 and 2 we can probably infer are actually doing a good job. They're actually probably high-quality ads. Because the objective of an ad is to generate awareness, then educate about the product, then drive action. And if this is generating awareness, which we know is the case if hook and hold rates are good and if CTRs are good, people are holding and are engaging. Number 2, if they're educating about the product, which even if the ad doesn't do a good job at education, it's driving people to the landing page, which should be educating about the product. So tick. And then number 3, driving action. They don't seem to be on the surface driving action because we don't have that attributed ROAS, but we know that average customer journeys, depending on the brand, are well above 5 to 6 days. And so there might not even be an expectation that we have initial action being driven through these ads, where then ad 3 comes in with a stronger call to action, or an ad better orientated towards bottom of funnel audiences, which actually gets the click and gets the ROAS. And this is even more the case and is just accentuated when you split your campaigns up based on top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Because if you have a dedicated bottom of funnel campaign that's targeting, let's call it 90-day visitors, well, what's going to end up happening is your top of funnel ads up here, and once again, let's just use ad 1 and ad 2, and then let's put ad 3 down here. Ad 3 is definitely going to get over attribution, because ad 1 and ad 2, the second they generate a click, assuming that there's audience exclusions within your top of funnel campaigns, immediately this cannot target the user anymore, and then only the bottom of funnel campaign can target them. And so if the follow-up ads can only come from the bottom of funnel campaign, then only the bottom of funnel campaign can get the attribution. And so you're going to further worsen attributed ROAS on these top of funnel campaigns. And you might think, well, that's just going to blur the data even more. It's going to be even more difficult to figure out what ads are working. We should probably not do that. No, I believe you should do that, because if you don't have heavy audience exclusions on top of funnel campaigns, you end up with significant overspend on restricted high intent custom audiences. Sorry, not custom audiences, cold audiences. And so you do want heavy audience exclusion. You just have to accept that this is the dynamic of what happens when you do it, which is that you're going to get significantly worse ROAS. And we've seen this time and time again in accounts. I wish I actually had a case study ready here because I could pull one up where we've taken an account which was running top of funnel campaigns on about a 4 ROAS. And then we've gone and implemented heavy audience exclusions across 90-day visitors, 180-day purchases, anyone that's engaged in Facebook or Instagram, and pretty much overnight, and we've switched to 7-day click as well, ROAS has dropped to about a 1.1. But what's also happened at the same time, so this is your top of funnel campaigns, and I know we're getting a little bit messy here, but the bottom of funnel campaign goes from about a 4 ROAS as well and spikes up to about an 11, right? Because now we're excluding all these high intent audiences, only the bottom of funnel can actually capture the attribution, which is nice because it means that now the top of funnel campaign is driving for top of funnel audiences. And overall, when we look at Shopify that overarches this whole thing, the metrics get better. And the metrics get better because now, rather than focusing on a relatively small audience and just over-serving to them, but having good attributed ROAS across our campaigns, we're driving new eyeballs. And the more new eyes that we can drive to our top of funnel ads, the more people we can ultimately drive into the bottom of funnel and get attribution for. And so you should be structuring in a way where you have significant under attribution on top of funnel and significant over attribution on bottom of funnel. And so I know that we've started at the individual ad level, and now we've almost zoomed out to the entire account and paid media approach level, but I hope that helps to demonstrate why thinking about improving attribution at the ad level is a futile exercise, and you will never actually be able to do it with any degree of accuracy, and you'll just be chasing your own tail trying to figure out what's working and what's not, and it will just lead to poor decision making. And this is really the crux of the paid media issue that I see in majority of brands, which is that decisions are being made, and this is a video in itself, so I'm going to record a video right after this about this, but decisions are being made with bad data. And so you're making decisions and wondering why things aren't growing or moving in the right direction, and it's because the decisions are based in flawed data sets. And this is one of them. If you're making decisions based on attribution at an ad level on purchases, that is flawed data. And I've just demonstrated why, right? We went through Meta perfectly allocates budgets, and last day click attribution causes all of the issues. And so if you're using flawed data to make those decisions, you're just making bad decisions over and over and over again. You're just going to spiral the account into a bad direction. And so you want to try to make sure that you're using the cleanest data possible anytime you're making a decision. And the cleanest data possible in this particular instance is going to ultimately come down to CTRs and CPCs.